All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a review of the EMG licensed savia Kimber TLE RL2 1911 NCO2. So I'm going to link an actually good review in the description of this, done by Airsoft Parts Bin. As far as I can tell, it's the only other English review of it. And I'm not going to go over everything. I'm just going to get at some stuff that wasn't mentioned in that actually good review. So starting at the frame, the controls of the factory gun are pot metal slide catch, ambi, but pot metal thumb safety, pot metal beaver tail, of course. And I can't remember if the mainspring housing was plastic or pot metal, but either way, doesn't matter. Part was fine. I like the review that I'm going to link doesn't go into aftermarket parts compatibility, and that's something that's kind of important with these. So they have the same sort of follies as the EMG Army Armament staccatos, where they'll fit a Marui mag or a green gas mag of your choice just fine, but there's no guarantee that it'll work. It's a total toss-up. And just like the EMG staccatos, the surefire fix for the EMG Kimbers is replacing the valve knocker. I have a KJW valve knocker in mind right now, which is steel and works like a charm. You'll see later. I've also changed the recoil spring when I changed the mainspring housing. So I'll get into that in a second. The fire control group on these, full steel, just like the EMG staccatos. Wicked. It's awesome. That much less money you have to spend if you want to seriously use the thing. Not that there's anything wrong with pot metal, but, you know, the valve knocker lock is going to break. So, yeah, the parts that I've dropped into this are a Garter MEU slide catch, Nova mag release, Nova thumb safety. This beaver tail is not the original. This is a KJW one. My original one grew legs and walked away, fell behind a couch or something. And the mainspring housing and magwell are Bomber, which is still Nova. And the hammer spring I replaced. And the plunger. So I replaced the plunger with the fat one from a Cow hammer regulator kit. Hammer spring is Nova. And just to give it a little bit more oomph on those hot fucking summer days, I have a fill valve that I removed the O-ring from, threaded it onto the hammer spring, and it's in there right now. It is wicked. It's nice. Trigger, I also replaced. The original one is a 3-hole type. I replaced mine with an Edge T2 because I like the semi-flat trigger. I really do. So yeah, there's all the stuff with the frame that wasn't mentioned before. Now, a little bit more on aftermarket parts compatibility. None of this stuff in here is original, except for the barrel bushing. But this outer barrel and hop up, well, the outer barrel is Garter and it's stainless steel. And the hop chamber and inner barrel and bucking and the wheel are all out of a Marui M45A1. Now, this assembly, I've been hard pressed to make work in any other 1911 I have. Granted, I only have that Marui M45A1 and some KJWs. They don't work in those, or this barrel doesn't work in those, but it works in this. It does have the same jam that the other guns had, that being the barrel can stay locked back too long, so when the slide goes forward, the locking lugs don't meet up. The raised portions meet each other and they just get stuck. So I fixed that by using a Garter USP recoil spring, which you can barely see in there. And that gives just the faintest whiff of tension to keep that barrel timed to the slide. And now going into the slide, just like the Airsoft Parts Bin review, blowback unit, proprietary. You can't do nothing about it unless you're feeling ballsy and you drill and tap your, say, Marui blowback unit for some smaller screws. I have no idea what size they are. They're very small, but it's doable to get some aftermarket in here. A TTI Hot Wheels, same gist. Because the Hot Wheels was also meant to work in Army armament staccatos, I think, in particular. But there's also, yeah, pretty sure the Hot Wheels was meant to fit in Maruis and AAs. So it's got 2 screw holes. But those screw holes are bigger than what's on the Savia. So do with that info what you will. The nozzle. Nozzle is, you can drop in whatever nozzle you want. I didn't try the OEM piston head with any other nozzles I have, but that piston head arrived to me swollen. This, you can still see some of the oil in that blowback unit. This thing came to me absolutely drenched, and that piston head was swollen. But that piston head is a KJW style or old Marui style piston head, plastic base with your rubber gasket, I suppose. And those work. My 2 other KJ 1911s still have those. One has a garter nozzle in it. The other has a edge nozzle in it. And it works great. But it was just swollen on this gun. So I replaced that with a cow piston head. And bit of a tangent, I haven't heard of many people having success with cow piston heads. I have not had good success with cow piston heads, but it works great with the Savia nozzle. And a little fun fact about the Savia nozzle, it's a KJW nozzle. It's just black. The rocket valve, same as a KJW, secured by the same cross pin. It's a KJW nozzle. It's just black. And maybe the internal diameter is a little larger, because the issue I had with a KJ nozzle, a KJ red nozzle, and that cow piston head, they would bind, just like the stock arrangement in this. But yeah, so I'm just gonna set you down, throw everything together, and do a little shooting demo to prove that all this weirdness actually does work. Not only that, but it works pretty darned well for the price point. You know, a full steel fire control group I got this Kimber for 260 Canada dollars shipped. Next most expensive option would be a KJW, which I think I mentioned it earlier in this video. Has some steel parts, valve knocker lock, valve knocker, and I've got the valve knocker in this Kimber. Yeah, got it for 260 bucks shipped. Next most expensive was a KJW floating, or KJWs rather. I had several options, floating around 280 bucks to around 320, 330 shipped. And then there's your Maruis, no steel, mostly plastic, and those are $330 to $400. I saw a nickel-plated Marui 1911A1 Series 70 for 400 bucks in Canada, which is just ridiculous. Marui's good, but it ain't that good, especially not in a Canadian climate where it can go from +5 one day to 30 degrees the next day with humidity. I'm barely exaggerating with that, but I'm just going to start with the slide locked open. Here we are. Pointing it up was what would make it jam the most before adding the spring to the outer barrel. No more jams. Just going to come down here, get nice and level, some better light. Pretty good. Pretty nice. So all in all, very, very solid option. If you're strapped for cash, you also shoot an absolute shit ton. This is the way to go. And actually, one little detail. I'm adding this for me. So that's a Colt National Match barrel. Now, in real gun terms, you can't just drop those two parts in together. You're doing a lot of work to your frame. It is doable though. So yeah, I just felt compelled to add that little detail. But yeah, all in all, Airsoft Parts Bin, great review. Missing a couple aspects that I personally thought was pretty important. I say that as if I am someone important. I ain't shit. I'm fucking nobody. But I do shoot a lot of Airsoft 1911s. And in terms of a review, it's really nice to know those things. What spec is this? Is it like an Elite Force 1911 where it's just a KWC under the hood and it's a pile? Is it an Armorer Works? Because there are Armorer Works customs. Kimbers, sorry. The Rapides are AW. But this is a Savia, which is a KJW clone. I'm confident in calling it a KJW clone because it fits the KJ valve knocker perfect. KJW nozzle as well. So, yeah, that's the EMG licensed, Savia produced, Kimber TLE RL2 1911 CO2, which with a little bit of work is a very, very competent green gas pistol for the price point.